What if the thing you think is helping you heal is actually the exact thing keeping you stuck? You tell yourself you're moving on. You're doing the affirmations, you blocked them. You're going to the gym. You're focusing on yourself. But somehow, weeks later, you still feel the same pull, same ache, same 2 a.m. thoughts. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most people don't stay stuck because they're weak. They stay stuck because they're doing the wrong kind of healing. And there's one thing in particular that almost everyone does after a toxic relationship that quietly resets the clock every single time. Let's talk about what it is and why your brain keeps tricking you into doing it. You know the relationship was bad. You can list the reasons: the walking on eggshells, the way you started shrinking yourself just to avoid a reaction, the way "I'm sorry" became your most used phrase, even when you didn't do anything wrong. So logically, you know you're better off. But logic isn't what's running the show right now. Your nervous system is. And your nervous system doesn't care about logic. It cares about familiarity. It got used to the chaos, the highs, the lows, the chase. Calm can almost feel boring after that. Or worse, calm can feel unsafe, like you're waiting for something bad to happen. That's why healing from something toxic is never just get over it. It's untangling a pattern your body learned to expect. And that's exactly why so many people sabotage their own healing without realizing it. Point 1: keeping them as your emotional safety net. This is the big one. You tell yourself you're not getting back together. You just need closure. You just want to know they're okay. You just want them to see how well you're doing. So you keep a thread open. A like on a story. A or just checking in text. Letting them follow you just in case. Here's what's actually happening. As long as that door is even slightly open, your brain won't fully process the loss. It keeps you in limbo, which feels safer than grief, but it's actually just delayed pain with extra steps. Real closure doesn't come from one more conversation with them. It comes from you deciding the story's finished, even without their agreement. Point 2: rushing into someone new to prove you're over it. You feel a flicker of attention from someone new, and suddenly you're convinced this is healing. You feel desired again, exciting again, chosen again. It feels like proof you're fine. But here's the catch. If you haven't sat with what actually happened in that last relationship, you're not choosing someone new. You're just handing the same wound to a different person and hoping they treat it more gently. A lot of people don't actually want a new relationship right after something toxic. They want relief. And relief feels like love for about 3 weeks, until the same old patterns start creeping back in, because nothing underneath ever changed. Point 3: cutting off everyone who saw it coming. This one's quieter, but it happens a lot. Maybe a friend or your sister tried to warn you while you were in it. You got defensive. You pulled away from them to protect the relationship. And now that it's over, instead of going back to them, you feel embarrassed. So you isolate even more. You don't need them to say, "I told you so." You need them to remind you who you were before things got small. The people who tried to warn you usually aren't the enemy. They are often the safest place to land. Isolating after a toxic relationship doesn't protect you. It just removes the very support system that could actually speed up your healing. Point 4: comparing your healing timeline to everyone else's. You'll see someone online who left a relationship and seems completely fine within a month. Glowing, thriving, dating again, looking better than ever, and it makes you feel like something is wrong with you for still struggling at week 3. But you're not watching their healing, you're watching their highlight reel. Some people genuinely process fast. A lot of people are performing fine because admitting they're not is scarier than the breakup itself. Healing isn't a race, and it isn't linear either. Some days you'll feel completely free, and 3 days later something small will bring it all back. That's not failure. That's just what untangling something painful actually looks like. Here's the part nobody tells you. You're not actually trying to get over the person. You're trying to get over who you were when you were with them. The version of you that shrank, apologized too much, and accepted less than you deserved. That's why no contact alone doesn't fix it. You can block someone completely and still carry the same patterns into the next relationship, the next friendship, the next job. The goal was never to forget they existed. The goal is to make sure that version of you, the one who tolerated too much, doesn't show up again with someone new. So what actually works? First, let the silence be uncomfortable instead of filling it with them. The urge to check, to text, to look, let it pass without acting on it. It gets quieter every time you don't feed it. Second, go back to the people who knew you before. Not to talk about the relationship, just to remember what normal, mutual, easy connection feels like. Third, get curious instead of guilty about what you allowed. Not to blame yourself, to understand yourself. Ask, what need was this relationship meeting, and how do I meet that need somewhere healthier? And finally, give yourself permission to heal slower than you think you should. You're not behind, you're just honest. You didn't lose them. You found out who you are when someone doesn't treat you well, and now you get to decide that's never going to be normal for you again. If this helped you see something a little clearer about where you're at, stick around. There's a lot more of this kind of honest conversation here, and chances are, the next one's going to hit just as close to home.